Welcome to Sustainable Design Expo Virtual Conference. We're so glad to have you.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. And I bid you a hearty welcome to day one of the Sustainable Design Expo, hosted by A Plus Agency in collaboration with the British Council of Architecture, Design and Fashion. My name is Damia Modu from A Plus Agency. I'll be your host for today, and I'm excited to go on this journey with you. Our theme for this year is Weaving Threads of Culture through AI. And we have some amazing, interesting hot topics, such as how designers can be more sustainable, getting into digital fashion, how to get into digital fashion, and more that will be discussed by some interesting, passionate speakers. And they will be doing justice to those topics today. And in case you're wondering what the Sustainable Design Expo is about, it's a celebration of culture, art, and sustainable design practices amongst young Nigerian creatives. The expo focuses on fashion and visual arts and unites diverse art forms like digital installations, upcycled art, woven fabrics, decorative art, and sustainable craftsmanship. It is a showcase of fashion and art designs that are not just stylish, but also deeply committed to ethical production, eco-friendly materials, and responsible fashion choices. So this is a hybrid event that features a two-day virtual conference. So today is day one, tomorrow is day two. We start 10 a.m. prompt, and there's an in-person showcase on the 19th of October in Abuja. We'll give you more details on that shortly. So we have a lot of amazing, educative topics in store for you today. So sit back, relax, and join us on this journey as we take a deep dive into what it means to weave threads of culture through AI. Thank you, and welcome to day one.
It's interesting to see all the industry experts that were here today. Interesting to see the work of the designers, and we're really excited. We had the local communities also represented, the women who weave these textiles. Because for us, what is important is our ability to promote our indigenous culture, our indigenous crafts, and also to bring alive some of the textiles that are going extinct. We're really excited about what we are going to have in 2024. We're really excited about sustainable design in 2024, and we look forward to working with all the brilliant brands that were here represented, and we are excited about the creative industry in Nigeria. There's so much potential in it, and we are sure that the dreams of these people will be bettered alive with the Sustainable Design Expo. Thank you for everyone who made it here. Thank you to His Excellency, the SSA of Arts and Culture. Thank you to every person who was represented here, the organizations. We really want to say thank you to them.
Meet Ifeoluwa Abulime. She is a multidisciplinary sustainable designer and artist known for creating eco-conscious fashion and 3D art from upcycled materials. Her work was featured in exhibitions like Coca-Cola Nigeria's World Without Waste and US Embassy's America Recycles Day, exploring the link between consumerism and environmental degradation. A self-taught artist, Ifeoluwa promotes sustainability through her innovative designs and collaboration with environmental organizations, inspiring communities to adopt sustainable practices in art and fashion. Let's make welcome Ifeoluwa Abulimen.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. Just the camera properly. Thanks so much for having me. Today, thanks for the introduction. So I don't need to answer that. Thanks very much. All right, let's get straight into it. So today we're going to be looking at how designers can become more sustainable. Okay, this has been a topic for our times based on what I'll be talking to you about. Okay, so first of all, we're going to be looking at the environmental impact of the fashion industry. Okay, so this is really important to know. So this is slide 3, please. Okay, that's my profile page. So if you want to get to know more about me, you can scan that, the barcode right there. That takes you straight to my profile. All right, thank you. So first of all, we need to understand the environmental impact of the fashion industry. I'm talking more about fashion today. I'm sure other speakers will have on other aspects of sustainable design. Now, it is important for us to note that fashion is one of the most resource intensive industries globally. Now, here are some of the reasons. 100 billion garments are made each year. Okay, that is really staggering. 100 billion garments are made each year. 92 million tons of textile waste is generated every year. That's a staggering 87% of materials are used to make clothing and end up in landfills, which is, if you put that into perspective, that's one truckload every second. Another fact, 60% of all new clothing are actually plastic. Now, plastics take 500 to 1,000 years to decompose. So looking at the pictures on the screen, you see a pile of clothing, and you can put this in perspective that most of the clothing you see there would take another 500 to 1,000 years to decompose. Okay, so we're just putting the whole thing into perspective, why sustainability in design is very, very important, especially in fashion. Okay, so 10% of carbon emissions come from the fashion industry. That's 10% of the carbon emissions. Okay, and then second-hand clothing waste contributes to a whole lot of waste. For instance, in Ghana, in the Kathmandu market, there is a serious issue of disposed textile waste, especially from second-hand clothing. Many of this clothing comes from the global west, okay, from the global north rather, and they end up, in places like Ghana where they purchase second-hand clothing. Now, a staggering amount of this clothing are not usable. So when they come in bales, they pack them in bales and they bring them they're exported to places like Ghana, Nigeria, and some other African countries. And about like in the bale, when they have this, they come in big bales and everything. Just about sometimes some of these bales, just 10% of the clothing in these bales are actually usable or sellable. So the majority of these clothing are stained, are torn, cannot be reused, and they end up in landfills. So you find this issue, especially in Kathmandu, and the clothing, the textile waste ends up at the seashore. Okay, so going on swiftly to the next slide, please. Now, the the topic, how designers can incorporate sustainability throughout the design process, starts from the concept of design. When you're thinking about your design, when you're conceptualizing, when you're researching, this is where sustainability begins. And one needs to begin to think about what what are the impacts of each of these stages of production, from the inception, from the idea angle of it, all the way to the end of life. The issue with designers, and the challenge, I wouldn't say the issue, but the challenge is that some designers don't think about the end life of these garments. Like, we have a lot of fast fashion, a lot of clothing made out of synthetics, and people don't consider how these clothing will end up. Like I've said earlier, some of these clothes are made of plastic and they end up in landfills, and these landfills begin to accumulate over the years, and the fabrics are not decomposing, and they cause a lot of health hazards. Okay, so this stage is from the conception stage to the end of life should be considered. All right. So next slide. So in order for us to reduce waste, we need to have thoughtful, intentional design. Now, these are the strategies. These are some of the strategies that you consider when you're designing or when you're conceptualizing your design. Think about your pattern efficiency. You need to maximize the use of materials and produce less waste in the process. And then, even if you produce waste in the process of designing, look for a way to incorporate that waste into your design, so that at the end of the day, you're not disposing too much. Now, another way you can do this as a fashion designer, if you have excess, you can also partner with people or donate your fabrics to people who create things out of waste. Okay, like the necklace I'm wearing now is made from plastic bottles and textile waste. So nothing leaves my studio. Everything is put into consideration. Okay, so the next thing we look at is modular versatile designs. Now, we have some clothing that you use once or twice or whatever, but designers should begin to think about how you can make this clothing versatile, like maybe a top that can be worn like two versions, maybe can be styled this way or can be styled that way, or reversible, maybe a reversible skirt, or that has different patterns on each side. So when you wear it today, another day you can flip the skirt and wear it again, in another way. Or choose colors that can be combined with other pieces. So those are the ways you can make your design versatile. Now, upcycling is repurposing waste. Like I said earlier, when you cut, maybe you're into fashion, maybe you're making accessories. There very creative ways that you can repurpose waste, adding what would have been thrown away back into your design. All right, next slide, please. All right, so now we're coming to this aspect of choosing sustainable materials. Now we know that now we know from what I said earlier that fabrics like synthetic, polyester fabrics do not decompose. Like 500, imagine 500 years staying in the landfill. Okay, so for us to be more sustainable as designers, we need to choose the right materials. Now, I know that many of these materials are quite costly. However, there's a way you can introduce these fabrics into your collection in parts, in bits, and in pieces, to start from there, to minimize the amount of synthetic fabrics you use. Okay. Then natural dyes. So we have eco-friendly fabrics like organic cotton. Um, we have recycled, even the polyester that's been recycled. We have wool, we have linen, and all those kind of fabrics. Then we have natural dyes. So these dyes, you don't allow them to you don't use chemical dyes that are toxic. Then we also have the biodegradable materials. All right, next slide. All right, next thing, we're looking at the ethical and transparent supply chains. Now, when you look at this, we're talking about fair labor practices, which involves fair wages, no child labor, and progressive work policies that encourage your workers and improve their productivity and innovation. Then local sourcing is important to look at local sourcing, like nearby things you can get nearby so that you reduce your transportation and thereby reducing carbon emissions, and then you reduce the cost of transportation as well, and your carbon footprint as an organization. Then you have to also be transparent with your supply chain. Where is it coming from? What's the source? How are things made? And how are things being transported from that place to your factory or to your studio. All right, next slide. So sustainability in the production phase is also very, very resource intensive, and one of the stages that impacts the environment greatly. So one of the advices is do things, make things in small batches, and watch the market, see how it goes in the market. And you can do custom designs with quality fabrics that you don't need, that will stand the test of time, that people can use for longer than clothes that you wear for 1 week, 1 month, and you dispose of because of quality. Okay, so ethical manufacturing, like I said, fair labor, and then energy efficient consumption. That's you switch to renewable energy. I know Africa, we're still struggling in that area, but in any area you can introduce renewable energy, like solar power energy, that you can, once in a while you can just switch maybe from electricity to solar power for more efficient energy consumption. And for water management, it's staggering that the fashion industry uses about 93 billion cubic meters of water per year. That's a lot of water. Okay, so water management is also very, very important. So for that, you reduce how you use water in the process. All right, so this is another interesting part where we have clothing and selling your packaging your wares and selling to your customers. So it's important to have eco-friendly packaging, which is zero waste packaging made from decomposable materials like paper, cardboard, and things that can easily decompose. Another idea is to minimize the packaging, just make it simple, make it more efficient. So when people receive it, they can easily separate the waste from recyclable waste. You can separate it to paper, plastic, bottles. So that's very, very important. And um, also designing multifunctional packaging. Like if you receive a package, you can actually use it for something else, maybe as a display or reuse the packaging somewhere. Like one of my designs, I try to use the earring holders. So when you don't dispose the earring holders itself. You can hang it as a little art, somewhere, maybe as a keychain or something. So I try to do that with my designs. All right, next slide, please. Now, circular fashion and closed loop system. Now, this is really important. Like I said earlier, you need to design such a way that you close the loop. You're not leaving things hanging. So you design from recycling. Then, like using materials like mono fabrics. That's mono fabrics are fabrics made from single type of materials like organic cotton, linen, silk, wool. These are fabrics that can easily decompose, fabrics that also high quality that can stand the test of time. So these kind of fabrics are fabrics you should consider when producing your garments. Now, there's this very interesting one, and I think it's also important for designers, is that we should offer repair and resale services, to our clients. Like, I know some of these companies now, the fashion brands, are asking the customer to bring back their clothing that they've worn, and they can find a second-hand value for it and sell to other customers. Okay, if you give your customers that service, like, okay, they've bought this item from you, and if it has any damage, you know the quality of your garment or your design, you can offer them this service so that you minimize the waste that goes on. So this gives you the leverage, if you offer that service. And then we talked about using biodegradable materials, planning your garments, the end of life of your garment. Don't just make your garment and then that's the end. You don't consider where it's going to end up after a few years or after a few months. All right, next slide, please. Now, there's a lot of innovation and technology in sustainable fashion, like 3D printing. Like a company like Adidas, they do 3D printing of their sneakers, their trainers, before they go into actual full production. This actually helps to minimize waste from prototyping. Like when you're prototyping, one item fails, you throw it away, or you're testing. So 3D printing is a very a good way to produce prototypes for design. Then virtual prototyping and AI. I'm sure this is not my specialty, so I'm sure other people have this topic really held down. So AI is a very, very beautiful way because now designers are creating a collection with AI, so you can view these designs just before productions. This also minimizes waste as well. And there's a lot of innovation in upcycling and recycling. And then sustainable materials. There's the new materials like there's one called the kapok fiber, which is made from the kapok tree. Then we have orange fiber, made from pulp. So these are innovative, ideas that people are bringing in on from time to time. There's a collaboration between scientists and fashion designers, to bring more fabrics and items that are biodegradable and sustainable. All right, so another aspect is to educate customers through design. Now, you need to let your customers know that your garments can be worn for a long time. They can be repaired, and then you shift their mindset from the disposable culture. Customers just dispose things, and after they wear it for a while, they get bored, they throw things away. But you can show them how to be versatile with your items so that there's less waste. Okay, and then be transparent with your storytelling. Tell them how you got your fabrics, how you source your fabrics, the origin of your fabrics. So it even makes it more interesting, and it gives that emotional attachment to what you are producing. Then highlight the cultural and the social impact of your design, which also creates an emotional bond for your clients. All right, so why are designers adopting sustainability? Designers are adopting sustainability because there is obviously a serious environmental impact of fashion on the planet. So, first of all, there's informed decision making because designers are understanding more of the impact of their design choices. So there's that, and they're making better decisions. Then they're shaping, the designers understand that they have the power to shift to shift the narrative and show people that they can be more mindful about consuming. Okay, and designers should take that lead role in showing customers that they also need to be environmentally responsible. And then the designers understand the long-term impact of their designs on the planet and on the society. Also, there's the environmental compliance. There are countries now that are making it stricter for um, uh, plastic waste, especially. So people are being more mindful about policies that are being implemented against plastic waste, like um, like I'll give an example. Like H&M, they partnered with Ellen MacArthur Foundation and Greenpeace to become more sustainable. So now organizations, big fashion organizations, are now partnering with organizations that can bring the technology of new fabrics, of innovation into design and into their production. So I'll name a few other examples of brands that are using sustainable materials. There's Mafi Mafi of Ethiopia, and they're using banana and apple, pineapple leaves to create bags and accessories. There's a company called Patagonia, and they use recycled materials in their collection. And the amazing Diapu cloth, she's Nigerian, she's my friend. She creates beautiful pieces of fabric out of textile waste. So they're woven into new fabrics, and these fabrics are very lovely, high quality, using local weaving techniques. And then you have someone like Chomzi, where using natural dyes from plants to dye her collection. So this is my lecture today. I hope, okay, yes, I did that in 21 minutes. So thank you very much for your audience. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that really insightful talk. As in, I took notes, and my notes are really full. I wish you could see them. Thank you so much, ma'am.
That's lovely.
I'm going to be going over some of the things you said, and I'm really glad we're having these very important conversations. I came across a Native American proverb, and it says, "We do not inherit the earth from our ancestors, but we borrow it from our children." So it's
Mm,
really important that we have these conversations, and talk about how to incorporate sustainability into the entire fashion process. Some of the
yes,
things you said, and I'm just going to go over them for maybe people that are just joining us. You said be conscious from the inception. It starts from
yes,
the design phase. You don't design and get to the end and think, oh, how can I incorporate sustainability? You said we should use sustainable fabrics, and
yes,
you talked about small batch production. You talked about ethical manufacturing, water management. You talked about eco-friendly packaging, green logistics, offering repair and resale services. You talked about educating a customer, actually letting the customer know what you were doing. Be transparent in your storytelling, and highlight the social impact of what it was. An amazing talk. Thank you so much.
thank
So the
you.
question I would ask is, what would you say to Nigerian creatives? Most Nigerian creatives want to focus on the um, bottom line, how to make money, how to turn over really fast. What would you say to Nigerian creatives that care only about the money?
Okay. There's something I was telling my friend the other day. I said the earth is living. the earth is a living thing, and we have a responsibility to take care of the earth. And a lot of illnesses and sicknesses and the climate change and all these things that are happening are because the earth is responding to our impact on the planet. Okay. Now, if as an individual you don't think that you are responsible in some sort of way, I give an example of you throw a piece of garbage on the road, you say, oh, somebody's going to clean it. Leaving that responsibility all the time to somebody else to sort out is not the way to go. So as a fashion designer in Nigeria or in Africa, it's very important for us to begin to think from the angle of what impact am I as an individual making to the environment, and how can I, on my own little contribution, how can I mitigate the impact of what I do to the next person? You cannot continue to exist and continue to do things and not care about how it impacts your neighbor, how it impacts your environment, how it impacts other people around you. We're social creatures, and the environment is also communicating with us on a daily basis. You can see the trees, the plants, everything. You can see that there is a communication. So as fashion designers, in Nigeria, you need to begin to incorporate the mindset of using things that will have less impact on the environment, and think of it as you're a person. What would you like your children, your children's children, the people that will come after you, what planet will they eat? We have a responsibility to take care of it. We cannot continue to ignore the ignorance of this. This ignorance has led us to a lot of issues we are dealing with right now, especially pollution and health issues related to the effect of chemicals, emissions, and the water pollution, and just there's just a huge impact, and it's affecting our agriculture, our fishing, and just different things, name it. So we have to start as a person, as an individual. And money is not everything, because if you have the money and you spend and you don't have good health and your environment is polluted, how do you want to, we have to be mindful, because there's a balance to life, and you cannot have a warped balance to it. Otherwise, one day it will impact you or it will impact somebody close to you.
Yes, all right. Thank you so much. And you said something that is really so profound. Let the change begin from you.
Yes.
Like, you have to think of your own contribution to the environment and to the world at large. Another
Yes.
thing that you said is, like, these little actions add up. Every small action adds up to make a big difference. There's a saying that little drops of water make a mighty ocean. So it's really, really important that, you let the change begin with you. So thank you very
Yes.
much for that.
Thank
Another
you.
question I'm going to ask, if we have more time, than if we don't have more time, that may be my final question, is I want us to talk about the brand perception, where sustainability is involved. So I know that, especially if you're a Nigerian brand, or if you're a brand that is positioning for, the global stage, it is really, really important, to start considering and to start taking this topic seriously, because all over the world, this is a very, very passionate topic. So I just wanted you to maybe shed some light on brand perception, what people think about a brand that is sustainable. So maybe this would encourage, someone out there to actually include sustainable practices in their fashion brand.
Okay, thank you. I think there's going to come a point in time, and it's not far, that um, people will not um, people will not patronize fast fashion or fashion that has a negative impact on the planet.
Yeah, and it's already happening all over the
It's
world.
already happening because
Yeah.
people are becoming more conscious with their consumption, more conscious with what they buy, and they've realized that why do I have so many clothes that can be destroyed in just few wears, less wears, and they're not being you can't wear them for long, you know. So the earlier we key into this mindset of sustainability, the better. Because there's going to come a point where legislations are going to be stronger. So if you want to position yourself as an international brand, you have to, as a Nigerian brand, you need to position yourself as an international brand and incorporate sustainability so that when you stand on the world stage, where some regulations are even being implemented, you can stand that test as a brand. Now, your positioning as a brand is very important when you have sustainability, even if it's a small aspect that you begin with, and then you begin to grow from there. Because I understand that funding and financial challenges would be an issue at that stage. Like using the sustainable materials, they're costly. They're costly. But if you can just start from somewhere, and then in that little you're doing, you are amplifying it and you're telling your international brand, customers that look, I've started. If you continue to support my brand, we'll continue to let go of things that are damaging. So you need to be transparent with your brand because transparency is going to matter more than anything now. You'll say, oh, where like child labor, where are your clothes coming from? How is it made? And you can also leverage on that as telling people a story about Africa, telling people a story about what we have, our natural resources, how we're lively people, how we love colors, how we love life. So you can use your brand to create that narrative about yourself, about your culture, where you're coming from. Like if you're Igbo, you can incorporate something from your tribe. If you're Yoruba, if you're Hausa, you can get something that inspires people to know who you are, know your culture, not just about money. Give them something to be more, to hold on to. Like, okay, this person. We can see examples here and there. There's this brand called Act. It's the AAKS Act. She's based in Ghana. She uses fiber to make lovely accessories, and she's been stock. She has stockists all over Europe, America, everywhere because they're starting from where they are local production, encouraging local women weaving, and then her quality is impeccable. She focuses on quality so that the international market can embrace and if you follow her Instagram, you see how she tells the story of her brand. So storytelling in
Thank you.
branding is very, very important.
Thank you so much for that. The international market is actually drawn to brands that are sustainable. And one thing you
Yes,
said is, start from, you don't have to incorporate everything, but
yes,
start from somewhere,
that's
start
yes,
somewhere. It could
yes,
be in your packaging, it could be in your small
yes,
batch production, it could be in the
yes,
fabric to use. Just start
yes.
somewhere and
That's
make sure that you communicate that to your audience. Thank you. So I have
yes,
so many other questions for you, but because of time, I think we'll stop here. Thank you so
yes.
much. Your session was
Okay.
very practical and you touched all the important areas. So we're so excited that you joined us today. Thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
your time and we hope you
Thank
have
you.
an amazing rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for having me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take
Our
care.
pleasure.
Bye. All right.
Yes. So we have so many more amazing topics and stuff for you today. So make sure you do not go anywhere. Stay tuned and there's so much more to come. Thank you.
Meet Idiat Shole, the founder of Adi Heart. She is a skilled 3D designer with a deep passion for the intersection of art, technology, and the fashion industry. She specializes in creating 3D virtual garments and exploring XR technologies. Through her creative studio, Adi Hut Atelier, she has made significant contributions to the evolving fashion XR space, particularly within Africa's digital fashion landscape. Her fashion has gained widespread recognition with features in leading publications like Quartz Africa, Fashion Network, The Guardian, This Day Live, BBC, OK Africa, and Africa XR Report. She has worked with top brands such as Adidas and Puma, and collaborated with industry pioneers like Meta and The Fabricants, the world's first digital fashion house. In addition to our industry collaboration, Adi Hut has trained over 100 students, helping shape the next generation of digital innovators. Our work in XR, gaming, and fashion continues to push the boundaries, exploring new possibilities and the intersection of these dynamic fields. Let's make welcome Idiat Shole.
All right. So we have Hedy Art. I don't know if I said that Shiole. Did I say that correctly?
Shoile.
Sorry?
Shoile.
Shoile.
Yes.
Shoile. Okay, thank you. So we have Idiat Shoile, the founder of Hadi Art Atelier. She's a Nigerian virtual design. She owns a Hadi Art is a Nigerian virtual design studio who just recently had her first physical show at Meta's unveiling of the metaverse in Nigeria. That is so impressive. And she discovered marvelous designer software in 2008 to assist her in creating locomotive 3D models and materials. She initially became a virtual fashion designer since she didn't want to work after graduating with a fine and applied arts degree from Nigeria's Lautech University. And she has made significant contributions to the fashion XR area with Hadi Art Atelier, gaining multiple featured correspondences in newspapers and magazines where she has made significant contributions to the rising digital fashion in Africa. And today she's going to be telling us and teaching us on how to get into digital fashion. We're going to be going over the topic getting into digital fashion. I'm really excited about this one, and I hope you are too. So stay tuned and make sure you take notes. If you have questions, please drop them in the comment section, and we'll see you after the talk. Please take the stage, ma'am.
Hi everybody. Am I allowed to share my screen? Okay. Hi everybody. My name is Harriet, and today I'll be taking us through getting into digital fashion. But then I'm just going to start with like a brief intro of the agenda. So today we are going to be going into like what is digital fashion, which will be like the quick intro, and skills and tools needed for digital fashion and the opportunities within the digital fashion space. So I'll introduce myself. I think the introduction has been done, but just a brief intro about myself. I'm a 3D virtual designer. I specialize in virtual garment and XR technology, which is also known as immersive technology. The founder of Aliat Atelier, which is a digital fashion studio. I'm a UK Global Talent recipient, and I won the M10 competition in 2023. I've worked at Puma and Adidas. I've been featured in several newspapers. I've also collaborated with Meta and the Fabricant, and I've spoken at various events like the King's College in London and I'm also here to speak to you guys as well. So let's jump right into our first agenda of the day. What is digital fashion? So digital fashion, in a very simple term, is creating virtual garments digitally, just like creating garments using the computer system. That's like what digital fashion means, and using like a various 3D softwares to create your garments digitally. So beside it is an image of one of the digital fashion piece I created in 2024. Yeah. So before we go into like getting into digital fashion, I feel like we need to know some background story about digital fashion. So where is digital fashion coming from? How does digital fashion even started? Like who started it? Like what's the history behind it? What's the reason for digital fashion? So the evolution of digital fashion. So digital fashion actually started from CAD, where you can use your illustration, like digital fashion illustration softwares like Illustrator, to just draw CAD drawings like we can see here. So that's like what digital fashion started from. Like that's the beginning of digital fashion. And platforms like Amazon and we are the one that first started using these and to design and to sell mostly merchandising, where you see something like card being drawn and they say you can customize these things. So as you can see some images there. Then after the early technology in fashion, which was like a flat drawing just there, we shifted to digital only fashion. And this started with the fabricants. They are the first digital fashion house in the world, and they started using tools like Clo 3D Blender to create digital fashion elements. So that's when it wasn't until 2010 that we moved into digital only fashion. And in 2019, the fabricant was able to actually sell a digital garment for about 9,500 USD, which was only digital fashion garment. That was in 2019. And fast forward to 2021, more brands began to kind of like take this innovation. Brands like Balenciaga, Nike, Adidas, Gucci, and a host of others. Even I myself, it was in 2000 and I think 2018 when I saw the fabricant that I decided to also kind of like take this as a career path for myself. But yeah, so that's like the evolution of digital fashion. So what is the current trend in digital fashion at the moment? So the current trend in digital fashion is, number one, we have the metaverse and the virtual world. So virtual world is becoming a thing where people live virtually, and places like Second Life. Second Life has been in existence for a very long time, even before the advent of like even before digital fashion became like very popular. Second Life has been, because Second Life is like a virtual world where you can meet people, chat with people, and kind of like talk to people. So on this on platforms like this they have trends for digital fashion where people create, like fashion designer creates garments and have like a store in these places, and they're able to kind of like sell their garments in these places. So we have NFTs and digital wearable. So I'm going to talk more about digital wearable. So for an example, there was something that Nike was doing with Swatch. So Swatch is like something Nike did. Like if you buy a physical garment of Nike, you also at the same time get the digital garment where you can wear on your avatar or on your avatar in virtual world. And at the same time, they allow you to kind of like digitally customize what you want, and they get it shipped to you. So we also have digital fashion in games like Fortnite, Leagues of Legends, whereby fashion brands are partnering with these games to actually sell their garments as skin. For an example, we can see Balenciaga in Fortnite. So, what is the impact of digital fashion? Number one is sustainability, which is like one of the big things. With the use of digital fashion, you can cut down on samples, you can cut down on like using excess material, because with digital fashion, you get your patterns. With digital fashion, you're able to do fitting, and with digital fashion, you're able to do like a lot of things, especially for mass production and for tailoring for like individuals as well. And at the same time, it's more sustainable because it also gives you like larger streams of incomes not just like for your physical garment alone. Like it solves your physical garment problem. It brings about more sustainability in terms of production, and at the same time, you're able to also use these garments in games, virtual world, and for NFTs at the same time. So we can see Gucci. The example I put is Gucci in League of Legends. And also we have customer behaviors, like that's another impact. Now we are seeing rise of virtual models like Shudugram, Little Michela, and I will list something that I'm working on at the moment. We can see that people are beginning to use like virtual models. So you don't have to actually create these clothing physically. They can be digitally and people can order it, then you can then produce for the person physically. And people wonder, okay, if I create these things virtually, how do I get people to test it out? So we have virtual model that could wear this garments for you and that could actually kind of like walk on the runway for you virtually. And we also have virtual try-ons, AR try-ons, something like Snapchat, where you can virtually try on garments and see if you really want to buy them and see if they really fit you or if it is something you're really interested in as well. And lastly, the impact is like more brands are beginning to embrace digital fashion, which creates more sustainability. Like we have like the Gucci sneakers. If you want to buy sneakers from Gucci, Nike, Adidas, Puma, and a couple of them, you can actually try out these garments physically, so you don't have to return them back to the store. You can see if they fit you. You can see if it's the color you actually want. And if it's even like you can dress up and now try on the shoe and see if it's fit on the garment you want to wear it for. So what's the future of digital fashion? So the future of digital fashion, we are moving into the AI future, whereby you can generate and predict trends in the fashion industry, which helps your fashion creation. We have blockchain, which is NFT and ownership. We have extended reality, virtual shopping. So if you go to places like IKEA, for an example, and I would also like to say that digital fashion is beyond garments alone. Digital fashion ranges from garments, accessories, shoes, and even fabrications that is used for furnitures and curtains, homewares that you can think of. So in places like IKEA, you can actually get a furniture, change the fabric virtually and fit it into your environment to actually see if this thing fits in your sitting room. You can do that for your curtains, you can do that for your clothing, you can do that for your jewelries, you can try on rings virtually and see if it matches up with your skin. And there are even like lipsticks, like if you are trying to order lipsticks from some brands, they allow you try these lipsticks on your lips virtually to see if you want a shade of red, a shade of purple, or you can also try out like facial makeups, foundation virtually at the same time. So we are beginning to see like mainstream adaptation of digital fashion. Like larger brands are beginning to adopt digital fashion, like hybrid collection, where you have digital twins, the virtual and the physical one, and a lot of like immersive experiences, just like what I explained about like trying on your makeups, your furnitures, and things around that. So now we are going to move to the essence of today's talk, which is skills and tools. Like, how do you get into digital fashion? The earlier one I spoke about is what digital fashion is, the adoption of digital fashion, how digital fashion started, and where we are at the moment for digital fashion. So what are the essential skills you need to get into digital fashion? So number one skill you need is digital modeling and design. So you need to be able to model garments virtually, and you need softwares like Cloud 3D, Style 3D, and a host of others that I will be going through further in the presentation. And you also need to understand digital textiles and material. You need to know like the tensile stress, the width and the waft of a fabric. You need to know the digital composition of this fabric, just like the way we have in the physical world. Like if you go to Yaba market or Oshodi market, oh, you get a fabric from anybody in the market, and oh, this fabric is stretching, I can use it to do bodycon. So the composition, the same composition you have in the physical is the same composition you have in the digital, but you must be able to translate this thing so that you get the same results physically and the same results digitally. So these are 3D softwares that you need to know in order for you to get into digital fashion. You don't need to know all the softwares, but you need to know some of the softwares. So for an example, there are some softwares that are dedicated for digital fashion, which number one, we have Clo 3D, we have Style 3D, we have Marvelous Designer, and we have Browser. So you can just learn one of this software to get started with. Any of these four software, you can learn one of them to get started with. And for sculpting, if you want to add more details, or say for an example, you are taking this garment into games like Fortnite, League of Legends, like virtual world like Decentraland, Second Life, you need to actually have a bit of like know how to sculpt if you want to have more details. It's not compulsory, but at times you might need it. So you can use ZBrush for that. And for modeling, so if you need to like reduce it, because for each of these games as well, they might need you to have like a particular amount of polygons. So polygons is like count, like each of the boxes in the fabric, which can translate in the physical to the weft and waft of your fabric. Like if you buy a fabric, you see like the way they weave the fabric, so something like that. So we have it as well digitally, so we can just relate it to that. So you might need to know either Maya or Blender. And also for your texturing, like if you want to like have like a flowery fabric and Cara fabric, you need to also be able to create that digitally using any of these softwares, either Substance Painter, Designer, or Substance Sampler. But I would say to actually, if you are targeting from digital to physical and you're not targeting taking it into games, so all you just need is to fit in these garments on avatars. Maybe you measure someone, for an example, in your physical studio, you take the measurement of the person. Let's assume the person is size 8. You then go ahead and create like an avatar of size 8. Then you can go into Clo 3D, then draft your patterns and create the garment to fit that size 8 in Clo 3D or Style 3D or Marvelous Designer or Browse, where you see how this garment actually fits on this size 8 body. And you can then extract your pattern from the software. You can use an A4 printer if you have an A4 printer, or if you have a very big printer that this architect use, or if you have a plotter, then you print out this pattern out and you lay it on your fabric physically and you just cut it. So you don't need to do sampling, you don't need to do fitting, because these patterns you're cutting out, you already sample it on the software and you already fitted it on the body size of your customer or your client on the software, and it has already fit. So by the time you're cutting this out and you're sewing it, it's going to fit the same way it fits virtually, physically. So that's how to kind of like translate that. So if you're looking into just that, if you're looking into making use of digital fashion to enhance your physical store, then you only need to go for either of these for software that are dedicated for digital fashion. But if you're looking to go beyond that into games and all, you might need other softwares like Blender, ZBrush, Maya, any one of them, and Unreal Engine for games and for rendering. Like if you're looking into creating for Fortnite, you might need Unreal Engine software, or you're looking into creating for other games like Decentraland or virtual world like Second Life as well. So these are the softwares you need to get started with digital fashion. So what are the workflow and processes in digital fashion? So number one, we have from concept to creation. So from concept to creation can translate from measuring your the person you're sewing for, your customer or your client, then to like sketching out what the design would look like, and to the creation. On this side, we can see that I have the patterns here, and on this side you can see that I have the fitting on this side. So something like that, like from your sketch up to the final product. And these are the patterns you print out in real life if you're creating real life garments, and you lay it on your fabrics and you're able to cut, and you get exactly this design, this look in the physical world as well. And the way it fits on this avatar is the same way it's going to fit on your client as well. So important of prototyping, you also need to prototype virtually. You need to try out different fabrics. So for an example, if I want to use maybe a cotton fabric, for an example, I can try out several cotton fabric and see which one fits before going to the market to get that exact fabric. So I won't be wasting fabric, and I won't be going through the essence of first using maybe a baft, like a baft material or calico or teru. I think it's called teru locally. those fabrics, I won't have to use them because I would have actually tried out the exact fabric I want to use virtually. So that's like the importance of prototyping. And also you have things like testing and alteration. So once you're done with the garments, before you actually make it physically, you can actually send these garments to your client or your consumer for testing and alteration, where they can see, oh, maybe the sleeves is too down, oh, I don't like the way it is on the chest, or oh, I don't like the way it fits, can it be a bit loose? So you can do everything, and they can actually comment and send these things back to you before, and you can make corrections before you proceed forward. So now that we've know the software to learn to get into digital fashion, and also we've also known like the processes that it takes to create like a virtual garment. So what are the skills? Like how do we upskills ourselves, and how do we continuously learn about digital fashion? So we have number one, if you want to learn about digital fashion, like you really want to get into it, maybe you don't have an idea before, or you want to learn those softwares that I've listed above before. So one of the things you can do is take online courses or join communities. So on platform like Adiat Atelier Academy, there's Digital Fashion Academy, Skillshare, Udemy. You can check Udemy, and there are a lot of tutorials for you to get started on YouTube at the same time. And also we have you can attend conferences and workshop. So recently, I think by ending of September, this September that just passed in Lagos, Nigeria, we held like a digital fashion masterclass, where it's a physical class where we had like 35 students coming to learn about digital fashion, the softwares, how to use the softwares in digital fashion, how to learn the software, how to get started with the softwares, and how to get resources on the software from places like YouTube, Adiat Academy that I mentioned earlier, Udemy, and Digital Fashion Academy. And also digital fashion is, I wouldn't say it's a new thing, but it keeps evolving as we like it keep evolving with time. So you have to stay up to date by checking blogs. You can check blogs, newsletters, sign up for different newsletters, different blogs, and follow different people online on social media that are into digital fashion, so that you are up to date on maybe the latest software. As we know, AI is on the rise, maybe the latest software, AI technology, or 3D softwares that are really doing great, and platforms that you can actually showcase your skills on 3D digital fashion. So what are the opportunities to get started with? Like, how can you get opportunities in digital fashion? So getting into digital fashion, you've learned the software I listed above, you've joined communities, you have the skills already, but how do you make good use of what you have already, the skills, and how do you get opportunities within the digital fashion industries? So there are job roles within the digital fashion industry. Number one, we have the digital fashion designer, where you create digital fashion garments both in the physical and the virtual world. So you are a digital fashion designer, you create your patterns, you do fitting, you do prototyping, and at the same time, you create these garments physically. And also, you can just be a digital fashion designer and just do virtually alone. You don't have to do digital, physical, and virtual, but you can choose to do both depending on what your interests lie in. Then we have virtual stylists. So virtual stylists are more of people that create like avatars. Like you can create a virtual avatar and people try on their garments on this avatar. We have like virtual model, like I mentioned earlier. We have Little Michela, they are virtual stylists. We have Shudugram, we have Awele, and we have like a host of others, where fashion brands hire this virtual stylists. They dress them up, they use them for runways and a host of others virtually. Then we have AR and VR content creators. So you can be an AR and VR. AR is augmented reality, while VR is virtual reality, and they come in together. We call them immersive technology. So content creator, whereby you create Snapchat filters for fashion brands to try out like their fashion wears, their shoe fitting, and a couple of, or create like VR content for VR games using like digital fashion elements and garments. So, and there are a lot of opportunities also within the games and virtual, like Fortnite, Roblox, Second Life, Zapato. There are a lot of like where you can sell your virtual garments both physically and virtually, and where you can also have, you can own a store just like the way we have, you can own a store in Yaba, you can own a store in these games like Fortnite, and you can own a store in this virtual world like Second Life. And we also have fashion tech startup like Adiat Atelier. At Adiat Atelier, for an example, we help fashion brands to create like AR and VR content. We give them virtual models. We do digital fashion designer. So you can do all these things by having like a virtual tech startup whereby you kind of like give these services to fashion designers in Nigeria, fashion companies that do not yet know about digital fashion. You enlighten them and you kind of like help them get started with digital fashion designing. So these are the job roles and the opportunities within the digital fashion industry. So how do you build a portfolio, and how do you build a brand in digital fashion if you're trying to kind of like build like a digital fashion tech startup, or you're trying to be a digital fashion designer, or you're trying to have like a space within like the gaming world, maybe Fortnite, or the virtual world, maybe Second Life, things like that. Number one, you have to showcase your works online. You have to have maybe like a social media channel, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, depending on which way you're trying to go. Are you trying to become an AR, VR content creator? Are you trying to become a VR stylist? Are you trying to have like a fashion tech startup? So depending on which one you're trying to go, that importance of collaboration, collaborating with brands. Like for an example, I've collaborated with the Fabricants, which is like the first digital fashion house in the world. I've collaborated with Meta. So collaborated with all these brands to kind of like showcase your digital fashion. You can collaborate with Diola Sego, which is like a fashion house in Nigeria, and they're doing like, you can convert their stuff into digital garments and collaborate with them by bringing these garments for them into the virtual world. We have Tebe Magugu in Ghana. There are so many physical brands you can collaborate with. And also, if you don't want to collaborate with physical brands, you can collaborate with like UBA. I think UBA used to have these virtual garments that you can chat with. So you can collaborate with them by creating several garments for this virtual bots that they chat, like that people chat with. So there are a lot of people you can collaborate with on that, navigating the market. That's what I mentioned about staying in tune. Like you have to make sure that you are in tune with the latest technologies that is being used in the digital fashion industry. You have to make sure that you are in tune with like gaming worlds and the virtual world, and at the same time as and the physical world as well. Like what does the physical world need digitally that you can assist with? Then developing your personal brand. Like if you want to have like a fashion text brand, how do you start? How do you develop your brand? Who are your brand targets? Are you targeting the physical fashion designers? Are you targeting people that use like, are you targeting the gaming world? Because I say digital fashion is kind of like a bit broad. We have digital fashion in fashion itself, which is like the physical fashion. We have it in gaming, which is like the gaming, the virtual world, and we have it in immersive technology, which is like your AR and your virtual reality. So this is how you build a portfolio and a brand within the digital fashion space. So yeah, so that's how you get into digital fashion, and that's how you get started with digital fashion. And those are the softwares you need to know. Those are the platforms you need to know. So if you have any questions for me at the moment, I would like to take any questions at the moment. Thank you, and I hope you're able to learn one or two about how you could get into digital fashion.
Thank you very much for that,
You're
Miss
welcome.
Iliad. We didn't just learn one or two. We learned a whole lot, actually. So thank you very much for that really insightful presentation. Personally, the first time was exposed to digital fashion was, I don't know if you know this brand Hanifa.
Yes.
Like some years back, they had this fashion show that went viral. And that was the first time I saw digital fashion. I was like, oh, okay, this is really, really interesting. And today you just made us know that there's actually so much more to digital fashion than that. We could have try-ons. We could actually it starts from you can have the entire design process I didn't know that. So thank you so
You're
much
welcome.
for sharing. And so I have a couple of questions for you. And I'm going to start with, maybe you could tell us a little bit about your background. What did you have, like, some of these skills before you decided to go into digital fashion, or did you just, pick them up? When did you learn? How did you, somebody here wants to actually learn or start, how do they start? So maybe you could give us a little bit into your background, and could just give us like a step by. I know you already talked about, like, you have an academy, and you already talked about Udemy, but someone is thinking, I don't even know how to sketch. I don't even know. I don't know CAD. I don't know anything. So, like, how do they start? Thank you.
So I think for me, it started from unemployment and curiosity. Actually, I went to the university to study medicine. So one thing led to another. Accreditation was seized, and we were supposed to pick another course. I wanted to go and do food science and engineering, but in Lautech, I actually attend Lautech. There were two back then. There were two F courses: food science and engineering, and fine and applied art. So I don't know if it was my mistake or if it was from the mistake of the administrative, but I was sure that I'd picked food science and engineering. But then you can't be 100% sure. But one thing led to another. I found myself in fine and applied art. I am from a science
Wow.
background. I don't know how to draw. I've never been exposed to anything like this. I'm not interested in fashion. I'm not interested in
Wow.
anything. I just want to be a medical doctor. No, okay, I
Wow.
think then I want to be an enter something 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 an ENT surgeon. I think so. That's
Yeah.
what I wanted to become. But yeah, I found myself in fine art, and my mom was like, "A better hand is what I was in the bush." Instead of coming back
Mm,
home, why don't I just explore the course and see if it is something I would be interested in? So I started to explore the course, but I never got interested in it. But I think at the point we were being taught fashion illustration. And mind you,
whoa.
like I said, I don't know how to draw. And I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
okay. So I think I was in 400 level. Then I begin to think that I'm almost done with school and I still do not have interest in this thing. And also, judging by like Nigeria, for fine art, there's
Mhm.
really little or no hope. I did textile major, and as at then, there were just two textile industry working in Nigeria, one in Kano and one in Ikorodu. Nichen Text or something, I can't remember the name. So those were just the two fashion house textile company that we were working. And I look at my classmate, we were like 104. Like the math is not mathing. Like who would employ us? Like so at that point, I knew like okay, I needed to do something else in my life. So I went online and I started searching for. I studied fine and applied. I like Google. There were like not a lot of searches then. I'm talking about 2015 now.
Wow.
So I started searching on
Mhm.
Google, like, what can I do with as a fine and applied student? What can I do? Like, there were a lot of things that caught my attention, but the only one that actually speak to me then was fashion illustration. So I
Wow.
started to like fashion illustration is just drawing with pencil. So I started to look into that, but then I hit a roadblock again because nobody wants to give me job in the Nigerian fashion industry because I use the hijab and they feel like I'm not fashionable enough and I could not draw the kind of aesthetics they are looking for. So that means there was
Mm,
no way for me to even explore that skill. I because it was of no use at that point. So
mm,
then I'm back to the drawing board again. So I think at
yeah.
around 2018, I still continued to search. Around 2018 was when I don't know what I was looking for. So I came across Marvelous Designer. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
as beautiful as it is now. I think it was 2017. It
No.
wasn't as beautiful as it is now. And I saw this garment walking, flowing virtually. And
Wow.
I'm like, yo, how did they do this thing? How did
Yeah.
this thing work? So I started to research about Marvelous Designer and how it works. And there was not even YouTube like tutorials, like there was no
Mm-hmm.
resources. So I found a way of getting the
Whoa.
software then, and I learned on my own. Actually, I'm a self-taught.
Whoa.
I learned on my own. What was on my mind was to actually achieve what I had seen in the video. I want to
Mm-hmm.
achieve what is in the video. So there like there was night of cries, like no light. I didn't have the right laptop.
Wow.
I didn't know a lot of things, so there were like a lot of
Wow.
mistakes along
But
the way.
you
But I learned,
persevered.
yes, I
Mm-hmm.
100% learned on my own, and there was even nobody doing it on Instagram as at that time. It was only the only community I came across was the fabricants, and it was even on LinkedIn. So I came across them on LinkedIn, I think in 2018. I messaged the founder, oh, I'm this, I'm that. I just started learning, sending my quack works to him. And he was like, oh, they had a community on Facebook. I joined the community on Facebook, and I'm like, people are doing these great things. See the nonsense that me I'm doing, and I'm feeling myself. So so that's how it all started, and from there I just started building on from there. And it was at that point,
Wow.
I think I'd done it for like a year before I knew, like, okay, there was actually a career in it. I only started because I was just curious about how a garment could move, and from unemployment, because I was looking for things to do, as I wouldn't get a job in Nigeria because I was using the hijab. I mean, in the fashion industry, because I was using the hijab. And yeah, so that was how I kind of like
How
started.
you
So
started?
yeah,
Wow. Wow. So you're self-taught.
yeah,
I would
100%.
have guessed because even now, in Nigeria, even in Africa, it is not mainstream yet. It's still a very new topic,
Yeah, yeah. But for
kind of
someone
new
that,
topic.
yeah, but for someone that is getting to start now, there's like a lot of resources now. I have like
Mm-hmm.
an academy where you can learn
Mm-hmm.
one-on-one. From the
Mm-hmm.
basics, all you just need is to have like a very good computer. The barrier to entry is a bit on the high side because of the gadget, which is the computer, and most of the softwares are paid. But if you're
Mm-hmm.
also a student, you could get like some student version, you could get some cuts, and you can also learn from YouTube. You see beginners tutorials on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of tutorials on YouTube at the moment. It's just that you might not have like a clear syllabus using YouTube. But
Mm-hmm.
if I can learn on my own even without YouTube, I believe you
Even
can
with
do it.
anything, anybody
Yes.
can do it,
Yes, so
really.
I believe you can do it. But if you want a more like tailored stuff, you might need to take
Mm-hmm.
like paid courses online.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I think like for now, for you to start, the only thing stopping you is your mindset. That's just it.
It is actually. And we have this mindset that everybody that wants to be in fashion has to, own a brand or, but I love where you actually highlighted some of the job opportunities, that once you have this skill, because this is a tech skill pretty much,
Yeah,
so once you have this skill, mm-hmm,
it's actually a tech skill, because I myself,
yeah,
I was able to get like a tech visa to the UK. Like I
wow,
qualified for like a global talent visa to the UK, and I'm a
wow,
digital fashion designer. So it's actually a tech
yeah,
skill. It's a tech skill
wow,
that encompasses like not just tech, but fashion,
mm-hmm,
games. Like it's kind of like a whole community, like a all
mm-hmm,
things put it together into one. Because you
yeah,
could decide to work for the fashion industry, and you could decide that,
yeah.
okay, I just want to work for like virtual worlds. I have people that
The
all they do
gaming
is create,
industry.
yeah, all they do is create garments for virtual worlds or gaming
Mm-hmm.
worlds, or all they do is create like fashion AR filters. And I have some that
Mm-hmm.
all they do is like fashion prototyping, which is like for the
Mm-hmm.
physical world. So you can actually have this skill and determine what you want to do. And you can be like someone like me, that I work all around. Like I work with the fashion
Yeah.
industry, I work with the gaming industry, virtual world, and at the same time I create like AR filters. So depending on what you want or where you want to start from.
Wow. I am wowed. I actually got to your page. I checked your page out and I was just like, this is really incredible. For someone that, you have she already said it's not even about just the fashion industry, but if this is a skill that really interests you, so there's really nothing holding you back. As she said, if she could do it, then you can do it too. Thank you. So I have a couple more questions for you. So as a Nigerian brand, say like a Nigerian creative that owns a brand and is thinking, I would love to incorporate this into my um brand. What is like, but they're thinking, oh, this is gonna be quite, expensive. What is the simple first step that they could take? Like, what is the simple thing that they could do in their brand to incorporate digital fashion?
So I think the first thing is they need to determine two things. Do they want to
Mm-hmm.
do it themselves, or do they want to employ someone to do it for them?
Mm-hmm.
So I
Okay.
think that question really needs to be answered. So if they want to
Mm-hmm.
do it themselves, I think the first thing would be to learn the software.
Mm-hmm.
So, one of the software they could learn is either Style 3D, Glue 3D, or Browseware, or Marvelous Design. So, I think that's the basic software they need for fitting and for simulation. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the first thing they need. If they want to hire someone, so they can as well just hire someone with the skill set to work for the brand. So just
Mm-hmm.
depends on like
Yeah,
either way they want to go.
no way. Okay. Okay. And then you also talked about, staying up to date. Like, it's something that is evolving. Like every other tech skill, it evolves like it moves quickly, like really fast. So what are some of the ways that, we can stay up to date with the latest digital fashion trends and technology?
Because I held like a master class in September, and this is a question that people are asking, and like I said, there are a lot that like there are not like 100% resources out there. So one thing
Mhm.
I've done is kind of like created a way whereby people can get newsletter every 2 weeks, where you get to know like the latest happening in digital fashion. If there's like a new software, a new, so you could sign up for like Ariat Atelier newsletter or blog post. Also, you could follow different social media platforms that talk about digital fashion on Instagram, LinkedIn, or Medium. So you could read online on Medium as well. And at the same time, join communities. Make sure like you're in a community, no matter how small, that they talk about these topics, for you to kind of like know what is new and how things are evolving. So these are like the 3 ways at which
Yeah.
you could stay up to
Okay.
date.
Okay. Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
Are there any Nigerian brands that are currently incorporating digital fashion that you're aware of?
Um, None for
You
now.
have to you have to think hard. So
Yeah,
that
because
means this is
yeah, that I am
yeah,
aware of. None for
yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So that means this is a major opportunity, for brands to actually, stand out in the market, actually. So this is I'm really excited about this.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. I don't
You're
know if anybody
welcome.
has any other question. I actually have quite a number, but because of our time, I think I will stop here. Thank you so much. So please, could you tell us your, where people could find you? Because I'm sure a lot of people have so many more questions. They want to know about NFTs. They want to know about, how to, translate everything they've learned today. And there are so many questions that people would have. So where could they find you? Please, could you let us know that?
Yeah, so you could, if you want to send like a direct message, you could send me like an email at studio@hadiatatelia.com.
Okay.
You could also check my website out, adiatatelia.com, and you could reach me on Instagram, LinkedIn, Adiat Atelia. It's just Adiat Atelia everywhere.
Hadia Atelier everywhere.
Yeah, yeah,
On
yeah. And
Instagram, everywhere.
yeah,
Hadia
yeah, yeah.
Atelier.
Then if you want to follow my personal page, it's just Adiat everywhere.
Okay, okay, your personal page is Hadiat everywhere.
Everywhere. Yeah, and Adiat Atelia everywhere.
Everywhere. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. This has been so much fun for me. I hope it has been for you as well. And I hope everyone following us, I hope you have actually learned and this has been insightful and Hadiat as okay. So for those asking for the software, please check out our Instagram at A Plus Agency to get the names. Yes. So, getting into digital fashion, you really did justice to this topic. Thank you so much for breaking it
You're
down, teaching
welcome.
us. And so, for everyone, please check out Hadiat Atelier, check out her website, check out her page, to get to know more about this. Thank you so much for being
You're
a
welcome.
pioneer in this industry
You're
and for
welcome.
persevering and paving the way so that a lot of us could come and learn and come after you. Thank you so much,
You're
Hadiat.
welcome.
All right. Thank you for coming. We had an amazing time with you. Till next time.
All right.
A video will be
Bye.
coming up now, so stay tuned. Bye.
Bye.
So we'll be rounding up shortly, but before then, please stay tuned as a video will be coming up now.
AI is not just a tool in fashion and art, it's a creative force redefining how we design, imagine, and express. By learning from heritage, AI translates cultural elements into fresh patterns and textures, helping designers infuse their work into unique narratives. It's a partnership merging the human touch with machine precision. In fashion, AI is reimagining textiles and apparel. It enables designers to explore forms, colors, and patterns in ways never before possible, bridging tradition with innovation. From generating original artwork to creating personalized fashion pieces, AI is transforming creativity into a sustainable collaborative process, fueling new possibilities and empowering artists and designers to push boundaries. AI is more than technology. It's a new voice in the creative process. Together, we are weaving a future where fashion and art are shaped by the limitless potential of human imagination and AI.
Yes. Such an amazing time with Hadiart. I look forward to being a digital fashion designer. That's a comment on the page. Yes, that was really an amazing time. We've had an amazing time so far, from the first session talking about how designers can become more sustainable, and to this session, talking about getting into digital fashion. So I believe there'll be highlights on the page, on the Instagram page, A plus agency. So please go there and check out the highlights, and I'm sure you would love them. So this brings us to the end of day one, and tomorrow we're going again. Tomorrow is day two, and we have even more amazing topics that we're going to be covering. We're going to be talking about interactive art and AI. We're going to be talking about the future of AI in the fashion creative industry, and we're going to be talking about, turning scrap into gold, building a profitable art business from waste materials. So we're only just getting started. Tomorrow is going to get deeper. So we look forward to having you around tomorrow. Tell your friends, tell your colleagues, tell everyone to come in. Thank you so much. And we look forward to having you tomorrow. Everybody needs to hear this. You don't want it to end. I don't want it to end either. I've had a great time so far. So thank you again. My name is Damia Modu from A Plus Agency, and this has been brought to you in collaboration with the British Council. Thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow, same time, 10 a.m. Thank you.
Sustainable Design Expo. It was successful. It's interesting to see all the industry experts that were here today. Interesting to see the work of the designers, and we're really excited. We had the local communities also represented, the women who weave these textiles. Because for us, what is important is our ability to promote our indigenous culture, our indigenous crafts, and also to bring alive some of the textiles that are going extinct. We're really excited about what we are going to have in 2024. We're really excited about sustainable design in 2024, and we look forward to working with all the brilliant brands that were here represented, and we are excited about the creative industry in Nigeria. There's so much potential in it, and we are sure that the dreams of these people will be bettered alive with the Sustainable Design Expo. Thank you for everyone who made it here. Thank you to His Excellency, the SSA of Arts and Culture. Thank you to every person who was represented here, the organizations. We really want to say thank you to them.